Hello, everyone. Welcome to Made to Dream. I'm your host, Maya Chanel, and here we share stories from women around the world to inspire and empower women to dream without limitations. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Ms. Viola Hug, and she is a spiritual business consultant, correct?
Yes, coach or consultant, I suppose.
Con-
Both fit under the same
Coach,
category.
consultant.
I always
Right,
say like the
they're
label's just
synonymous.
like, yeah, the label's only the tip of the iceberg in terms of what you do,
Right.
like how do we really fit into a box?
Definitely. So I want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience. Let them know about a little bit about you and what you do.
Absolutely, I would love to. A big part of what I do now is helping people get into a space where they're really truly experiencing fulfilling success, right? Like, I guess that's the best way to put it. And fulfilling
Mhm.
success is different to everyone. For me, I feel that I'm really in a space of success when I'm feeling that I'm doing my purpose, I'm channeling my passions, I have time with my family and the people I love. Like, I have a small son who's like very new. He was born in May. So he's
Oh my
brand new.
gosh.
He's so cute, my first baby, and I have an amazing husband.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So when I feel like connected with the people in my world, when I have time for my family and for myself, and when I'm really in my purpose and activated, helping people, achieve that for themselves, that's when I feel my level of success. But that's different for everyone.
Mhm.
And the life that I live now, like, it is so incredible. Like, it's one of those, I feel like, pinch me kind of lives where you're just like, oh my gosh, this is actually my life. Like, I really do feel like I have it all in a way. I really do feel
Mhm.
that, and it's mostly an internal feeling, but it also, now in my life, it's also a lot of external things. And the for me, this journey has been like a very long one. So I'm 32 this year, and I first
Mhm.
went into entrepreneurship when I was 23 or 4.
Mhm.
And I also have like I'd say since about my mid-teens is when my kind of growth journey with all the things that helped me get to this point started.
Mhm.
Um, my In my mid-teens, I lost my dad to cancer, which was
I'm sorry to hear
a
that.
very pivotal moment for me, right? Like, that was
Mhm.
something that for about 5 years took me into a really deep emotional spiral. Like, I was not in the best place. Um,
Mhm.
and I just wasn't dealing with that because I don't think anybody knows how to deal with grief. And I didn't really have great support or anything like that in order to deal with it in a healthy way.
Mhm.
And then from there, I went into this moment where I knew I had to change something in my life. So I looked for help. I started watching, TED Talks on YouTube, and I
Mhm.
started doing different things to start shifting my mindset. And then I went into entrepreneurship. And in entrepreneurship, it was also like, for 5 years, I was in what I call my struggling entrepreneur years, where I literally did everything that I thought I needed to do to be successful. Like, all this like old paradigm business, I call it, where it was like
Mhm.
very much like hustle very hard, work very hard. And I didn't really have any results. I actually ended up in so much debt in that time, in over six
Mhm.
figures of debt. And then at the start of
Wow.
I know it was insane. Like, just, it still blows my mind. And then at the start of 2018, I had this like shift where all of the stars aligned, like angels sang. And I had this like moment to start a coaching business. And
Mhm.
this time, the thing that was different is I really decided to go into it with like full integrity of like who I wanted to be and what I wanted to experience. Like how I said before, like my own version of fulfilling success. Like, I didn't want to compromise any part of who I was in building a business.
Right.
Like, I wanted every system, every like offer, everything that I created to be something that was so fun and so aligned for me.
Mhm.
And then through that, this is a very in a nutshell story, but I went on to build a six-figure business from that. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, it was, that's kind of what I do. And so I do a lot of like business coaching, but also on like, how can we spiritually evolve? Like, how can we evolve as people and as souls,
Mhm.
not just like have the results in our life?
No, definitely. I totally agree. And I think a bigger message of everything you said is there's a couple. Everything does not happen overnight. Like, you've been in this 10-year process, and you just now recently found your breakthrough, what, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's an important message, just so to tell people literally, you don't know how long it's going to take, but don't stop, don't give up, because you will get your big break. And then another thing that you said, um, it was, I believe it was like, doing what you love, because it was once you found out, and you stopped trying to do what everyone else was telling you, or what was supposedly right in business or the coaching world, the coaching space, you took it upon yourself to do what was true to your heart. And I think that is where a lot of people will begin to find their successes, when they do what's true to them, because you won't get tired of it, you'll enjoy it, and it won't feel like a job, of course, because we don't want to do what we dread.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like the biggest problem. And I think that's why it took me, quote unquote, so long to have the success, even though I can tell you right now, like, in hindsight, it doesn't feel like a long time. It only feels like a long time when you're looking ahead. Like, if you would have told me 10 years ago it was going to take 10 years, I would have been like, F this. Like, not really, because I really do believe, like, stay committed and all that stuff. But, and I do believe we will always have our breakthrough. I believe everybody who has a passion, like if you're listening right now and you have a desire, you feel that there's something that you want to pursue, that there's a life that you desire to live, I do believe that we are meant for that. Like, we all are born into different circumstances and different struggles and different, like, spaces. But I believe that a part of our soul knows that we are going to go through those things, and that we can work towards that, and we can achieve those things. I really do believe that. And so, yeah. And that was like a big thing, is like, in hindsight, though, it doesn't feel like it took that long. It was just like, oh, it happened so fast. How did it happen so fast? But part of the reason, yeah.
Sorry. Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, part of the reason why I feel like it took me, quote unquote, so long is because it took me so long to fully trust myself. Right? Like, even though I believed in myself, like I believed it was possible, I still was looking into the external world for validation and proof that what I was doing was the right thing, that people would be interested. Like, a really classic example was, like, if I would, like, bring something out into the world and it didn't immediately get 1 million people interested, I'd be like, oh, it must suck.
Goodness.
Like, well, whereas now,
all the time.
Yeah, now I understand. It's like, it's consistency, it's sharing it again, it's, reviewing it, it's all the things. But people aren't going to be
having the right audience. That's a huge part of it.
And knowing who you want to impact, and knowing the audience that you want to impact. Like, I used to speak to everyone because I didn't want to leave anybody out. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, I have to speak to everyone. And then I started to refine that a little bit. Like, actually, I want to work with people who are excited about life. I want to work with people who want to succeed. I want to work with people who have a vision. And then it slowly started refining, And so it's like, yeah, then when I really started to trust myself and was like, well, I've been trying it for this long and it hasn't been working, like trying to work on everybody else's wants and desires and expectations. What if I just do what I want? And one of my first rebellious acts was choosing pink as my branding color, because I knew pink was a very specific color. Like, when I first started, it was like, I made everything pink because I was like, I love pink and I'm going to make things pink.
Oh my goodness. Yes, like doing what you want, like just taking control of your life, because you will sit here, especially in this day and age, we're social media fanatics and we're always trying to please the masses. And if you are constantly looking to just please the masses, you aren't going to love anything about it, because you're going to constantly be like, oh my God, like looking for their validation. And honestly, they probably aren't your audience. You could literally be talking to a crowd that loves the color green, and they are literally going to trash talk you down and disagree with you and be like, oh my God, that is not the best color. But if you find that group of people who love the color pink, they are going to be with you. They are going to walk with you. They are going to be your loyal fan base. So you have to do what you love, and you have to find the right audience. So I think that's super important right there. That is like, especially for this day and age, like we're looking for likes and follows and all of that, but you just have to make sure that you're following the right audience, and then one day your material or you will make it to your correct audience. I think you just have to stay consistent, stay positive, and just keep moving forward till it happens.
Amazing.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about why you chose business consulting and maybe some of the different obstacles that you've had to go through in order to come to this decision.
Yeah. And like I said, it really is just like the tip of the iceberg in terms of what I do. But
Hmm.
realize that I mainly like to work with entrepreneurs, or not even that I
Hmm.
mainly like to work with them. It just so happens to be that the type of people I work with are very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning, though, that's not what I did. At the beginning, I started where I felt most aligned to start. And that was with helping people develop
Mhm.
their vision and start like figuring out areas in their life that they can bring more alignment, like start
Mhm.
um, if they desire to be this kind of person or have this kind of life, where in their life right now are they totally out of alignment with that? Like, where are they acting in a way that's not receiving that back into their life? An example could be if somebody was looking for a relationship that was really like loving and powerful, but in their current life they were not loving to themselves, or they didn't set clear boundaries with their friends that or people in their life. Then it's like that would be like a good place to start, because in order to
Mhm.
call in a really loving, amazing relationship, we have to first set that standard in our life, right? So
Right.
that's kind of how it started. And I would work with people with any sort of vision. But like I said, a lot of them were entrepreneurial. So I found myself working with a lot of people, helping them develop their vision, helping them really like bring more alignment, bring more clarity into their like life, believe in themselves, trust their intuition more. Like a lot of these things that I'd at this point in my life really gotten so strong in. And the more that I did
Mhm.
that, the more I realized that the way that I was like helping people center themselves, it was like suddenly these people could show up in their business more authentically and they were receiving better results. And so that kind of like then evolved into business coaching, right?
Mhm.
which
Right.
um which then at the reason that I brought kind of the spiritual business coaching back into it is because and I even say oftentimes like a spiritual coach for entrepreneurs, because it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily have to be only focused on business. Because what I notice is when we work on the right energies in our life, like when we break down our conditioning that isn't serving us, when we're
Mhm.
when we're really focusing on how we can bring true harmony and true alignment into our life, and focusing on the soul growth, the
Mhm.
evolution of who we are, that's when we can actually start seeing really powerful results. So it's kind of like the increased income, the more clients,
Mhm.
business success is the side effect of this internal spiritual
Mhm.
evolution that happens.
Right, definitely. Digging deeper to find your passion and your purpose, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding what is it that you're meant to be here to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just finding why you need to do it, and understanding it is a big part of it, because it can be like, I know that I need to do this. Okay, but why? I think that's a huge part of it, because when you understand your why, you understand what it is that you need to do. You're able to go further and do more leaps and more bounds and just take it to another level, rather than just staying on the surface. Like you said, your title is literally just the tip of the iceberg. You do so
Mm-hmm.
much more than that. Just digging deeper and being
Mm-hmm.
able to do that is so important when building your business.
So agree. Yeah.
So I want to know, has there been anything in your life that has served as a big inspiration to you finding your success and being able to be on this path? Because I know it is hard, especially entrepreneurship. And then you've been going through this for 10 years. How have you been able to stay consistent, even when you haven't been receiving the results that you've wanted to receive? What is your true inspiration in that?
Mm. I feel like, when you talk about like what your why is, there's so many things that really like excite me. And part of it is that I really like, I get excited about growth, and even when I wasn't seeing
Mhm.
a lot of external results, I was still noticing I was growing. I was still seeing the
Right.
world in a different way. And I was feeling a lot more happiness in my life because I knew I was working towards something. Right. And that to
Mhm.
me is really important. And I would think of the alternative of like quitting or, going back into a career that didn't fulfill me, just like I would rather be trying at something I liked than
Mhm.
doing well in something that didn't light me up. And so that was part of
Mhm.
it. And like one of the like more cheesy whys for me is like I really always imagined that when I had a family, I would be able to be there for my family and experience my family and not be held back by a lot of the limitations that I was held back with when I was younger. So like that was a huge motivation for me. And I'm so like, I really am like, it doesn't elude me how powerful and privileged it is to have the life that I have now, you know, like I'm every fiber of my being is so deeply grateful that now I have a child and I live this life, you know, like it's so amazing. And it's part of why I also have such a passion for creating social justice and being a voice and helping people break through their conditioning and supporting people where they're at and all these wonderful things. But kind of going on a side tangent, but the biggest thing was really that this internal drive that I had inside of me where I would just know that it was going to happen eventually, right? So even if I felt like a moment like I wanted to quit, it was like, but what if this is just before my breakthrough? You know, like, have you heard that story about the guy digging for gold?
Yes,
and he
always.
like gives up like 2 inches. That's like, I kept seeing that meme because I remember I saw that meme once and I don't know if it was like divinely guided to find me. Every time I was like, is this worth? And I would like get this like internal like 2 inches from gold or 2 feet from gold or whatever it was. I was like,
definitely
oh my gosh.
never want to regret. You never want to be a regret and say,
that's
what if you never.
Yeah. And I would imagine like things that would get me through is like, I remember one time I was like crying in my car because I like had no idea how I was going to pay my creditors. And like, it was just like, it wasn't even my car, it was my mom's car. And I was just like, so like, this is too hard, you know, this is too hard kind of feeling. And then I remember I just got this flash in my mind. I said at the beginning how I was like obsessed with TED Talks. Like I saw myself like on a TED Talk stage speaking about how I made it through. And I was like, oh, one day this is going to inspire so many people, you know? And so
definitely.
Yeah, that was a big part of it.
No, I loved how you said in there that, you know what, when you went through the process, even though you may have not reached the success that you had ultimately dreamed of in that time frame, you constantly praised yourself for the growth in yourself. And I think that's very important because, you know, in this day and age, especially in this time of light, this decade or whatever, you know, we're so driven by what we see on TV. We're so driven by what we see on social media, and we try to put a time frame on our success or when things should happen in our life. And a lot of times we don't receive those things because we're not ready for them. We have to be prepared to receive them because it's like, if you, let's say this, if you literally, someone comes and hands you like a big stack of money, but you literally only have a coin purse, how are you going to carry that around? You have to be prepared. You have to come and bring the big duffel bag. You know, you have to be prepared to carry that success, that blessing. And you know, along the way, in order to get you there, you have to praise those little accomplishments. Even if that is not your main goal in life, you have to make like light of those little accomplishments because those little accomplishments are what's going to show you that, you know, you're one step closer to your goal. It's not going to happen overnight, but you're one step closer. And that's what counts in this moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I love
think
that
that's
analogy.
very important.
And
Definitely.
I think it's all, there's like a statistic around like people who win the lottery, they lose the money or they get back to the same financial position or worse within 3 to 5 years. And the big reason of that is that exact analogy you just gave is like they want that, but they can't yet carry that. So it's kind of like they self-sabotage in a way, right? Because holding capacity for more in our lives does mean to truly be in holding that, right? To truly be an experience of that, we have to grow into that and evolve into that.
Definitely. You have to become the person that you envision yourself to be. And if you are not that person in that time, it's not going to happen for you. You have to continuously prepare. I mean, even when I got my braces, they had to literally put like spacers in my teeth or something to prepare myself for the braces before they even put them on. I was like, wait, what is all of this? Just throw them on my teeth, just glue them and put a wire. Like, that's all you're supposed to do, right? But there's this essence of preparation that we have to
Mhm.
understand. And I think that that needs to be made more in light of success than, it just happens just like this, or it's supposed to
Mhm.
happen without hard work or
Yeah.
transformation.
Yeah, and I do believe like a transformation doesn't have to be attached to time. I don't necessarily think that it has to take time. It did in my case.
Hmm.
But then it's like since it clicked for me, it hasn't
Hmm.
been like I've had results that aren't related to time at all. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this doesn't even make sense.
Hmm.
It's like a quantum leap. And I think that is possible, but
Right.
sometimes what takes time is us getting to the point where we really believe that and we really can step into that. But yeah, so if
Right.
you're listening, it's like, don't get discouraged by the time. I feel like the time's going to pass anyway, right? Like
Hmm.
if it's going to take you 5 years, 5 years is still going to go by, whether you're working on
Right.
something or not. Don't get discouraged by the
Life
time.
still
And
goes on.
yeah, and know that it can happen seemingly fast as well.
Hmm.
But also know that if it doesn't feel like it's happening, it's still possible and it's still going to happen.
Hmm. No, definitely. Definitely. So, I want to know, who would you say is your biggest inspiration? Like, if there's any person in your life, who is your biggest inspiration?
Hmm. This is an interesting one, actually. Like, I feel like there's like so many people that I've been really truly inspired by, but also for like
Hmm.
different reasons, not necessarily like all in business, but I'm very, very much inspired by my husband because it's just like I love the dynamic that we have as a family and I'm inspired about what that relationship means and our family and like I'm like so in my family love bubble right now. You cannot pop this
Listen,
bubble.
if that's your inspiration,
It
then that's your
is.
inspiration, and no one can
Yeah.
take that away from you. It's your
Yeah.
success.
Yeah. And I mean, I definitely have had time and I am incredibly inspired by like people's stories where they've had like trial to triumph type things, like I'm
Mhm.
very inspired by that and people who create things against all odds. But I'd say probably like, yeah, the biggest source of inspiration at the moment is truly my family.
That's awesome. That's awesome to have like that support system that's so dear and close to you to just like continue to push you every day. I think that is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have, it doesn't even have to be your family. It could be a friend. It could be
Yeah.
a teacher. Like there's so many people out here that are just inspiring. And I think it's important for women to see that, there's women out here just pushing the envelope and, being patient and in
Mm-hmm.
essence, because having that great support system behind you
Mm-hmm.
does help it be a little easier for you to have a little bit of patience and
Mm-hmm.
just go through your journey. So I think that is extremely important as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'd like for you to tell me, if you had to put anything on a billboard, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. On a billboard, I would say that desire you have is totally possible. That dream you have is totally possible. And I wish that it would come with like telekinetic something that would like rewire people's brains to truly believe that.
Uh-huh.
But just like seriously, just it's possible, it's possible, it's possible. Just please don't ever forget it and please don't ever give up.
Mhm. Definitely. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your story to the audience that you find interesting or as an inspiration to others that you may have gone through
Mm.
that, could save them a headache? Because a lot of times they tell you to listen to others and learn from their mistakes, but we don't do that. So I
Mm-hmm.
want you to use this platform to just allow people to hear you and hear what you
Mm-hmm.
have to say.
I think when it comes down to it, like the reason why I really talk about spirituality a lot in my business is because I really believe that all of us have like a tapped in energy to our knowing what's best for us, whether
Mhm.
we are connected with like a divine source energy, like however you want to picture it, or whether it's kind of like just an
Mhm.
intuitive knowing that lives within us. Um,
Right.
we
That
actually
gut
do.
feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Like we actually do know what's best for us at all times. The problem
Mhm.
is that we get so conditioned with society that we forget how to trust that. We forget how to listen to that, right? Because so often we're told to think with our mind and our logic and what makes sense and what worked for someone else and what da 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 da.
Right.
And when I say I went through my like struggle entrepreneur years, it was because that's what I was listening to over my own intuition. I was thinking that I needed to listen to the hows and the strategies and the whatever, right? And although I do absolutely believe in strategy and I absolutely believe in taking action and those really important parts of creating success, what I believe is the most powerful guide to knowing how to take action and what to apply and what strategies will work for you is when we really
Mhm.
start to listen to that intuitive part of ourselves. And the intuitive part of ourselves usually calls us forward to step into things that our logical mind thinks we're not ready for, right? It
Mhm.
usually challenges us with an idea and, maybe to invest in something, to start something, to speak about something, to start a podcast, to be on a podcast, whatever, right? And our logical mind can very easily convince us that that's not the right thing. It can tell you why you're not ready. It can tell you why all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. But if we can
Mhm.
learn to trust that intuitive thought, despite the fear, and despite the kind of like limitations we logically want to put on ourselves, that's where we're actually going to start moving into this space where we're experiencing so much more flow and like where it feels like even when there is challenge or even when there is something that doesn't go to plan, you like know it's working out and you see it a lot faster, because I
Mhm.
really do believe that part of ourselves is like the shortcut. So it's like,
No.
I always say, like, use your intuition to tell you which actions to take. And so both
Mhm.
are important, the action and the intuition. But if
Mhm.
we allow that to happen, then it's so much more powerful in my experience.
I agree. I agree. Everyone has their own blueprint for their life.
Mm-hmm.
And just because something worked for someone else's life doesn't mean that it's going to be for you. It may work for you, but is it going to make you happy being
Yes.
the person that who you are? Because you can be someone, you can see someone on social media literally sharing every moment of their life, and that is their success.
Mm-hmm.
But you are an introvert, and you sharing your personal life on social media is not going to make you happy. It may make you more money just because people are nosy, but it's not going to make you happy in the end. So you have
Yeah.
to follow your own blueprint, and
Mm-hmm.
that gut feeling, I totally agree with you, is
Mm-hmm.
your guidance through that blueprint to
Yeah,
build that strong foundation.
totally.
Well, thank you so much, Viola, for sharing your story. I do want to give you this moment to share with the audience how they can contact you if they need to reach you and how they can follow your journey.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really great sharing. And thank you to everyone listening as well. The best place to hang out with me is probably on Instagram because I love that app. I'm at Viola Hug. Very simple. I'm at Viola Hug on almost everything. My website's violahug.com, Facebook, Viola Hug, all the things. But Instagram is probably the best. And the second best one would be my Facebook group, which is Abundant Babes, a home for the visionary. And that's where I talk about all the things that I'm up to and the offers that I have and all those cool things as well. So feel free to reach out at any time. I truly mean it. I love receiving messages from people.
Awesome, awesome. Very easy, very simple at
Yeah,
Viola Hug. So
you
we'll
got it.
also have all of those links linked in the description below. And thank you all so much for tuning in to Made to Dream. Thank you, Viola, for sharing your story. And until next time, this is Made to Dream. I'm your host, Mai Chanel. I'll see you next time.